The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Rook.
Good evening, everyone. It is 25th of April 2017, 9 o'clock. That only means it's one thing. Yes, it's the Paranormal Concept Show. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me in the chat room. It's been, weeks before I've been here live, so it's actually quite good to be back. And I'm joined in the studio by Kerry Greenaway. Hello, Kerry.
Hello. Yeah, we're banning you from going on holiday again.
I know. What happened to all the ratings? I'll tell you, they've gone right down.
No, they haven't.
Yeah,
they haven't at all.
I've got all my groupies in the chat room tonight. How about that?
But we have missed you. We have all missed you.
I bet you have. I've just been sunning myself on the beach, Hemsby, for a week. Yeah.
Well, like I say, I've banned you now. You're not allowed to go on holiday again. We all miss you far too much.
No, you can't be doing that. I need my holidays. This is far too stressful, this work.
All I'm going to say is I'll swap lives with you in a heartbeat.
So, how have you been? Did you get up to much over the Easter break?
Yes, and I can't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
A lot of alcohol has been consumed.
Oh, so it's all stuff that you can't remember. That's fine.
Exactly. That's basically where I'm going with that.
Okay. Well, I was on investigation last weekend, and I went to Shore House in Berkshire.
So jealous.
It was absolutely amazing location, and they only let paranormal teams in 4 times a year.
Is that all?
We was extremely lucky to get that location, and it was absolutely fantastic. We had people reporting seeing shadow people, in like the camera flashes. When the camera flashes went off, you could see like a man shadow standing in the corner. And then when they shone their torches over there was nothing there. We had people hearing footsteps up and down the corridors, and the whole building is carpeted. So that was...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was really quite strange. We had brilliant results on the ghost box as well, with whole conversations with one of these women spirits that are in there still, mopping the stairs or something. I can't quite remember, but...
I love how precise you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was apparently it was one of the women that used to clean the stairwells and stuff, and she had a big Barney with someone, and he decided to push her down the stairs and break her neck.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, and that's who came over the ghost box and told us all about it, and... Yeah, it was a really good, interesting night. Anyway, we're still trying to verify stories and things we come up with.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it was really good, really fascinating.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
really
when you
good.
book it again, then I'm going to have to come with you on that one.
Absolutely, you do. You really do. And next week, Saturday.
Saturday, yes. Saturday.
Both me and you are going on an investigation, aren't we?
I'm so excited.
Do you want to tell everyone why?
Why? We're going to Ramsgate Museum, and it's a museum and a boat. A boat. I mean, oh my God, it's a boat.
Absolutely.
I am a little over-excited about the boat, I have to say. My expectation is almost Queen Mary style. I think I'm going to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, only slightly. It's just a little tugboat, but yeah.
Oh, it's not quite what I have in my head. But no, I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to working in a different way, crystal-wise. Do you know what I mean? On a boat, it's a completely different energy. No, I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, definitely bring your crystals, so.
Oh, I definitely will. Because the last one I did was actually the true crimes with you guys.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while since I've been out in the field, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, not only are you in a field this time, you're going to be on the sea.
I know, double whammy.
Absolutely, and maybe with the water energy as well, you might be able to increase the energy levels
Well, I'm
threefold.
hoping so. As I say, what I do in the field is still very experimental, but it's great to have this opportunity for some amazing locations. So, yeah, I'm really, really grateful.
Yeah, and nicely leading into the show tonight, we're talking about paranormal safety. So you will actually need to bring your water wings if you can't swim.
This is true. This is true. In case we get thrown over the edge by some unseen entity.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you don't want to go under too deep, especially the marina. I know what goes into that marina.
Let's not talk about that. Don't want to think about that, thanks.
No.
Hopefully nobody will end up in the water, though.
No, of course they won't. It's fine. It's one of my events. You'll be fine.
Oh, that's all right then.
I'll clip you all to the sides of the boat, clipped by wire, so you just dangle there. You know,
just like hanging off the side.
Yeah,
like they used to do in the olden days. They used to put a rope around someone to clean the kill, didn't they?
Yeah.
Whilst you're there, girls.
I can imagine that. Yeah, I can imagine that. So, right, you've looked. You messaged me earlier during the day and said there's a big piece. You wrote loads of stuff about different safety aspects of the paranormal. Do you want to read that out now?
I'd just like to put this out there. I didn't write this. I found this on a website. Now I'm going to read to you. This is talking about safety in the paranormal. I'm going to read this to you. Now, some of them are a little out there, but they are relevant points. But we'll cover each one afterwards, I think, isn't it? I think that's what we're going to go.
That would be quite a good idea.
Okay, if this isn't scaremongering, I don't know what is. Okay, so the article starts off with, the risks are real. Some are listed below. Mental illness, insanity, possession, obsession, attachments, hitchhikers, walk-ins, push-ins, oppressions, infestations, physical problems, mental problems, spiritual problems, insomnia, agitation, personality changes, loss of time, paranoia, hearing voices, hallucinations, animal attacks, slip and fall injuries, getting pushed by entities, assault, fainting spells, unexplained financial difficulties, losing your job, losing your friends, losing your family, losing your reality, losing yourself, changes in appearance, loss of electronic equipment, spider bites, allergic reactions, hypothermia, exposure to the elements, frostbite, loss of faith or belief, unexplained medical issues, depression, eventual hospitalization or therapy, divorce, sudden abandonment of hygiene, alcoholism, sudden drug or substance abuse, self-inflicted trauma, automobile accidents, mechanic bills, fires, loss of cell phone functions, which is the worst in my opinion, and antagonization from spirits, demonic attachments, loss of pet lives, family members affected, death of relatives, loss of happiness and fulfillment with everything in life, loss of your belief system, arrest, jail, rehabilitation, loss of patience, loss of affection, loss of intimacy. Oh, and the list goes on and on. Your life can fall to pieces in a moment, and all of this is related to the paranormal.
What a load of rubbish.
When I was reading that, I was thinking, oh my goodness, my hobby is quite dangerous, really.
Yeah, I mean, how can rehabilitation be a danger? It's not really,
Well, I
is it? I
suppose
mean,
once you've gone on your little alcohol and drug addiction, and the rehabilitation is quite important. And yes, Lindsay, it does sound a little bit like life to me.
yeah, and me. Oh dear. But I think it does illustrate to a degree why it's important also to have a first aider on hand for any investigation, especially if you're going to places that are abandoned. Because you will come up against the whole snake issue and spiders as well. I mean, when we done that recce for that airfield down in Somerset.
Yeah,
I
mean, there was loads of dangers on that recce, wasn't there? We really had to think health and safety on that one,
and we found every hole going.
We did. There was so many. I mean, put it this way: you're going to look like a builder if you go onto that investigation.
It's going to be good fun, good investigation. That everyone should go for it. But
yeah, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it is like hard hats because the buildings are derelict. It is trip hazards. There is lots and lots of stuff like that you have to consider, like even taping off certain areas that are really unsafe.
Yeah. I mean, you've definitely got to do your risk assessments in particular when you go to places like that. And this is why we done the recce beforehand to do the risk assessment. And that's why I said there was a couple of buildings that if you do the investigation there, I don't want you taking public in because it is too much of a risk to take.
Yeah.
So, we banned those buildings completely. But there were a couple that were safe enough to go into. And it was good fun. So we found every pothole we could.
We did.
Put it down on the risk assessment. But
we did.
I'm quite happy for that event to go ahead. We've done what we can to make it safe, and even when you do the event, if you give the briefing and just let people know as well about the risks, they know what to look out for as well, and try and get them to be as safe as possible. So when they are moving about, then they've got their torches on the ground, pointed at the ground, so they can see where they're putting their feet and stuff. And always look out for the snakes.
Particularly at certain times of year. I mean, as the weather gets warmer, you do, obviously insects are more prevalent in locations. So you do have to watch out for, those kind of things, which most of the time, a lot of the buildings that we go into are, particularly if you've not got a lot of money, they're outdoor locations, derelict buildings, that sort of thing. And these animals, they love that sort of place, don't they?
They do. I don't know why, but maybe they're looking for ghosts as well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they are the ghosts.
You never know, do you?
That's a whole new subject.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a new show, that one. But yeah, I mean, even if you go to a normal like theatre or something, and do an investigation there, you've still got to do the risk assessments, because primarily what we do in the ghost hunting event side of things, and even as a private investigation, you're in a building and they've got all the lights off, so you've got to be aware of your surroundings, and stairways and stuff. You've got to be careful of all those, and as you're moving around, even inside a building, it's always safer to have your torch on, just to make sure you don't fall down them stairs. When we done the investigation at Shaw House, one of our staff members actually fell down the stairs.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
was she okay?
She was fine. It was only the last 1 or 2 steps she fell down, but she described it as the lights were on as well, believe it or not. And as she was walking down, it was almost like she said the whole step just disappeared. She couldn't see it, and she just fell. Yeah, that's it. That's all it was.
The thing is, though, with an indoor location, particularly one that is open to the public, during the day, most of the time, the health and safety regs are already in place because they have to anyway for the public. To be put in place. So wonky stairs and stuff like that are always highlighted. Low ceilings are always generally got some form of signage.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
correct.
So those sort of the indoor locations that are particularly the ones that are open to the public generally have already got pretty good health and safety coverage anyway.
There is. I mean, most places have got their own health and safety risk assessment already pre-planned.
Yeah.
So
that's
I
true.
could say to them, have you got a risk assessment? And they can say, yeah, I've got that, and send it over. But I would still do my own risk assessment when I got there, because things may have changed. And, you know, there might be new problems that they haven't seen
Yeah.
that I could pick up on. And also, as you go around in your groups and stuff, if you spill something on the floor, you've just created a hazard. So then that needs to be reported to your manager, and that needs to be dealt with, you know, and there's lots of different things to do with the risk assessment, because you've got the dynamic risk assessment as well. So
That's
that covers
right.
things like you knocking something over, and you creating that problem. But there always may be something that hasn't been seen before. So it's always best to just have that health and safety training and have that in the back of your mind anyway.
It's not just that, but when you're using equipment, particularly if you're using equipment with leads, when you're set up, you know what I mean? You've got to make sure that they're taped down, that people are aware where the leads are, particularly and acclimatise yourself to the location before you turn the lights out. So it's always a good idea to do walk rounds and familiarise yourself with the location with the lights on, so you can sort of like highlight for yourself where these problems are. I mean, you get told that before you start your investigation, but it's good to acclimatise yourself with the location. And then when the lights go out, at least you're not completely blind, as it were. You know what's what. You know where your equipment's set up, particularly when you've got CCTV and stuff like that, cameras being set up.
Yep. I mean, you wait till Saturday. I'm just going to let you go in blindfold. That'd be funny.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's a whole new experiment that Paul's planning on trying there.
Yeah, just to see how
I'm
psychic.
the feeling that you're actually trying to kill me off on the investigation. It's kind of where I'm going with it.
No, I just want to test people's psychic ability. You know.
Of course.
Because you'll have the ghosts go, no, left a bit, right a bit, right a bit.
Oh dear! Oh my God! Getting a sudden change of mind about going.
Oh dear, no, it's going to be good fun. Trust me.
Now, while I was looking into this little subject, I went onto the Ghost Adventures site.
Okay.
And their ideas for safety was obviously the risk assessment, but on a more basic level, because you've got to love basics. Their ideas were obviously a first aid kit.
Yep.
Okay, rope.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's in case someone falls down a hole.
Well, yeah, it comes in handy for all sorts of things. I personally would use it to, if there was a room that I wanted blocked off, I'd use the rope in the doorway.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense than someone falling down a hole.
Yeah, but you could, if someone fell down a hole, you could rescue them, put in a bowline and, yeah.
As you do. I mean,
As you
I
do.
suppose that makes more sense. Food and water.
Yeah, just in case you get locked in somewhere. Always handy to have food and water. Keep your energy up.
I tell you what, I did look into the food and water, other than the normal, you don't want EVPs because someone's stomach's grumbled and it's come up as an EVP. Not regardless of that. But there is a thing that when you're, now I could be wrong, I'm not medical, but cortisol, when you're dehydrated, your cortisol levels rise. So it's important to keep hydrated and fed and watered through your investigation for not just the mundane EVPs and, you know, stuff like that, but also because it helps keep your physiological state in a better state. If you get dehydrated, you start reacting in a different way, which is, we know that, don't we?
Yeah.
You start reacting in a different way and your blood sugar levels can drop and it can make you feel things that aren't actually occurring.
That's correct.
So food and water is quite a good one. And not just that, but if you, are stuck, then at least you've got something to eat and drink.
Yeah, I mean, it is ideal for diabetics as well, simply because, I mean, I had this on an investigation. One lady said that she felt really sick and dizzy, so we pulled her out of the area that she was infected in. And, I mean, okay, we could have said, if we wasn't medically trained, we could have said, oh, that's just the area that you was in, you're being affected by spirit, come away and you'll be okay. But because I am medically trained, I'm like, well, okay, let's tackle it from that point of view first. And I asked her a few questions, and it turned out that she was diabetic. And I said, right, okay, so we're going to get you some Coke, and you can sit there and drink that for a little while. And she sat there.
I'm glad you clarified the drink there.
Yeah, the drink, Coke. Because Coke's high in sugar, so basically we just wanted to give her tons of sugar. And after about half an hour of sitting there with her, she was absolutely fine, back to normal.
Yeah.
So from obviously my point of view, because I am medically trained, that's what I looked at initially as a logical explanation. But I would have thought there is some teams out there that would think, oh yeah, a ghost affected you, you'll be all right in a little while.
Yeah,
and
probably.
that could have turned into a more serious problem.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have the first aiders there, just to catch that sort of scenario.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. So they went on to say mobile phone, so you can call somebody if you get into trouble.
Yep.
Spare batteries, because if your torch runs out, if your torch runs out and you're in a really like a wood or a dark location, oh my God, how scary is that when you've got no light?
Absolutely,
you know?
It's. I've been in a few woods like that, and it does get creepy.
It does, even with a torch, let alone without. If if your battery's drained.
Yep.
And then you've got no torch.
And sat nav as well for woods.
Well, you'd have that on your mobile, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've used that. I've used that before now.
I know. I have too, to be fair.
Yeah.
And the last one that they said, this is to say the Ghost Adventure site, was sensible clothing, which is very sensible.
You've got to be obviously comfort a bit. You've got to have comfortable shoes and things like this. Sensible shoes. I mean, if you're going to do an investigation in the woods, you don't want high heels. Do you know? It's just
common sense, surely.
Exactly. You want to dress appropriately for the situation that you're going to be in. Absolutely.
Well, I'm rocking out my ball gown and heels for the weekend on the boat because it just feels like right. It just feels right.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Pictures will be available next week.
Of me staggering around blindfolded in said location, falling off the edge of the marina.
Yeah, that's it. With a bottle of vodka in one hand. And...
Oh, you're right now. God, I've had to have a moan at my Mark Manley for this.
Oh dear.
So, what would you recommend? Sorry.
Go on. I was going to say I've had 2 weeks off. That's what it was. See, so I'm catching up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go on then. What would I recommend?
To put into a first aid kit on an investigation.
Okay. Basically, you do want to cover for all eventualities. So possibly an ice pack. You want some gloves, some dressings, and a good pair of scissors. What else would you have? Triangular bandage, and that is pretty much a standard kit anyway. So that's sort of what I would put into mine. But again, because I'm more advanced than just a first aider, I've got like airway management kit and all sorts of stuff.
Oh my goodness! So would you put like antihistamine cream in there and stuff like that?
No, as a first aider, they're not allowed to administer any creams or pills or anything like that. I think paracetamol are okay, and aspirin, I believe they're covered in the first aid manual, so you should be able to give them as a first aider.
Oh, okay.
But I think they're the only two that you can. You have to be ambulance crew and above, basically, to give other medications out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because it goes into prescribing medicines and stuff.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's just there's rules and regs and stuff, and yeah, it's not worth going into.
No, not really. Not really. You get told off, do you?
No, exactly. I mean, I've got, again, because of my level, I've got Puritan and all that sort of stuff in my kit, but there are still some medications I wouldn't cover, like morphine and things like that. I don't carry them because I'm not a paramedic.
No.
And it is a controlled substance as well, so that's another reason I just normally just stick to the pain relief and antihistamines.
Oh, okay. But so that's only because you know what you're doing.
But that's
in
because
a
I'm
general
qualified.
First aid kit, you wouldn't have those.
No pills. Probably aspirin and paracetamol, but that would be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry. Carry on.
No, that's fine. Carry on then.
Because you know me, I do take over.
No, what was you going to say?
I was going to say, so going into health, I mean, we've talked about like physical health and the risks that we are to that. I mean, there are protective clothing and dust masks and stuff that you should kind of have. And high vis, would you recommend high vis in certain places?
Again, it depends on the location. I mean, if the place is derelict, then yes, I'd ask people to have the high vis. And also, if you're walking along the roads, because obviously you've got to be high visibility for the cars driving past. You don't want to all be in dark and be ninjas and stuff, and then they hit you. You know, it's as funny as that would be. You know, we want to keep everyone safe. So high vis is quite a good idea for that, I think.
Yeah.
So when Trident Dark Knights go out on their jaunts around the roadsides and stuff, I've got some high visibility jackets for you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I've just got to get them labelled up now.
Now, dust masks are quite important. Again, going back to Ghost Adventures, we see them with their masks on quite often. Yeah. Now, I know that's because I think Zach has got asthma, hasn't he?
Yep. It can exacerbate the asthma. But also, if you go into places that have issues with rats or bats even, and pigeons, you can actually breathe in some of the gases and fumes and stuff, and even airborne particles that could affect your lungs.
Mm-hmm. So also like mould and mildew can do that, can't they?
Yeah, they can, yeah. And
fiberglass insulations if you're up in loft areas?
Yep.
And even asbestos.
Yes, but don't play with that at all.
No, but there are risks that you may come across.
More so in the derelict buildings, but as an event company, I wouldn't be going into derelict buildings anyway.
No, that's true. But we're just talking investigations in general, really, aren't we?
Yep, urban explorers in particular suffer mainly for that. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's next on your list?
No. Oh, it's your show. I'm going to just sit here and look pretty now.
Okay. Right. So you mentioned mental illness as well.
I did mention mental
illness. That again is a little bit more difficult for the average paranormal team to assess.
True.
Especially when they've gone into a situation where they've been called in to someone's house, for example, and there's vulnerable adults or even vulnerable children there, which would, it can raise issues with CRB checks as well. But if they don't understand mental illness in any way, some people could just be suffering from that. And again, because I'm medically trained to an ambulance standard, I've got some good ideas on how to assess for mental illness, but I wouldn't act upon that. It just basically go down in my report, and I would possibly just say to the people that are there to rule out some effects. I would suggest they go to their GP and just have an assessment with them. That would probably be the best way forward for that.
Mm.
There you go.
Mental health is a very, very difficult one. And I also think if you're going into someone's, like for a private investigation, that is definitely a factor to be looked at. for you as an individual person going out on an investigation, I do think you have to be very aware of your own mental stability. If you're going through a particularly traumatic time, like divorce or a breakup, or, you know, you've had a recent death in the family or something like that, then you have to be very aware of your own psychological state.
Absolutely, because if obviously you're going to be breaking down in tears every 5 minutes, you're going to be annoying everyone else.
Well, not just that, but it's not very good for yourself, is it?
Well, no, but it annoyed me.
Yeah, but most things annoy you, Paul. Let's be fair.
But no, on a serious note, I mean, yeah, it can have a lasting effect. So yeah, always bear that in mind.
And we don't want you to lose your job, lose your friends, lose your family, lose your reality, lose yourself.
No,
I can't get over that on this list. I really can't get over that they. I know. I suppose though, if you're out all night investigating, on the lighter side, this is if you are out all night investigating, you can't get up or you go to work where you've had no sleep. Then you probably could lose your job.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Especially,
but surely that's responsibility for yourself. Surely
it is. You shouldn't be on that investigation, especially.
It's not
with drivers.
Really a danger, is it?
Well, it could be for drivers because some drivers are only allowed to. They have to have a certain amount of sleep before they drive.
True, but again, that's their own responsibility to not do that, knowing that that could happen.
Well, yeah, no, that is their own responsibility to a point. But then if the owner of the company notices that they're always tired, it's their responsibility then to say, well, you're not fit to drive.
Fit for purpose, are you?
No.
Anyway, it's time for a break.
I was just about to say, I'm going to play a break now. You're psychic, what can I say?
I know, I have this ability.
Yeah, we will be back just after this.
Hello, this is Kerry Ann. Please join me every Thursday at 9 p.m. on 7th Sanctum, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Hi, this is Mark. You can join me and Kerry at 9 p.m. every Friday night on the Dark Night Show, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Hello and welcome back. Now we're discussing tonight the different effects health and safety and the safety in the paranormal have on investigations and stuff. So Kerry Ann, no, not Kerry Ann. Kerry Ann's not here, is she? She's not well.
No, she's on a no. She's usually with you on a Friday.
I know. I don't know. What day is it today?
We're on Tuesday. This is your show.
This is right. Okay, I did wonder.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I do take over.
Okay, Kerry Greenaway. This is. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Right. So what was we where are we going to go now next? What?
Well, I think we should cover the more prosaic. I love that word. Side of things like insurance.
Insurance, yeah, absolutely. Love insurance. We have, I can obviously only speak for my company, but we have our own public liability insurance. We've got it set, I think, at 5 million to cover us, I think. But there are locations out there that want £10 million insurance, like Langard Fort.
Do they really?
Yeah. Langard Fort want £10 million insurance.
Woo.
Yeah, and that costs lots of money. So I think that's why a lot of the bigger companies do it. But as a rule, everyone's just happy with the lower one, really.
5 mil. I have to have 5 mil for my crystal business.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah,
because they say dangerous. It comes under rocks and stones and buildings, right? And I'm like, Have you seen the size of some of my crystals? They're teeny tiny. And they're like, it doesn't matter because if your whole stall collapses on top of a child, I'm like, oh, okay, fair point.
Yeah, I still don't know what damage it'd do to a child though.
Oh, I think it could.
They're just,
'cause some of-
I don't know. It's some well, the
They're
bigger
heavy.
ones, yeah, but the little ones would just bounce off, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but you only got to cause a bruise these days, and somebody's like suing you.
Yeah,
aren't they?
I suppose. Yeah,
But insurance is really important because there has been a case where a company has gone into, or a team, should I say, has gone into a location and damaged the property.
yep.
We've seen it recently, haven't we?
I've even been accused of it, and
Have you?
I said, yeah. It was by another paranormal team, believe it or not. They was doing a bit of stirring, and they accused us of breaking a window, I think it was. So we phoned up the location and we said, we are insured. If we did break a window, let us know and we'll go through the insurance. And they turned around and said, no, don't worry about it. The window was broken beforehand. It was done by the airsoft teams that went in there. So it wasn't you. So don't worry about it. It's fine. So we said, okay, that's fine. But, at least we'd done it honestly. And we did check up to make sure that it wasn't us. But now what we do, every time we do a risk assessment, we also look out for breakages.
Yeah,
And we
it's a
also
good idea.
note them down. So we sort of learnt that one, by the hard way, I suppose. But, we do that now as a course of practice. So we don't get accused of anything like that ever again. But no, it wasn't us. So I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, well, Drakelow Tunnels had a major issue with people using candles.
Yep.
And they had a lot of wax left on and fire damage, heat damage rather, left on windowsills and stuff like that, which in my view, you shouldn't use bare flames anyway in a location because of the fire risk.
Yep.
And respect, and certainly not wax. I mean, come on, guys.
No, I know. It could. So some of I've actually seen some of the pictures of the damage that was caused, and I know that some of it could have been fixed, but why allow a team to do the candles anyway?
The thing is, if you've got a team go in and they haven't fully disclosed what they're going to be doing on the night, then then they cause that kind of damage. It really ruins the reputation for paranormal investigating in general.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you should never use candles in an event. I just don't think it's necessary.
No, it's not. It's not really needed. Okay, it could give a bit of ambience feeling to the venue. But there was a few locations that have actually stated no naked flames.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we haven't got candles anyway, so that's fine. So I suppose, it does happen. People are out there wanting to do it. And I suppose to a degree I can understand why they want to do it as well. Because obviously they're testing for, well, in my opinion, they would be testing for drafts, because the candle's going to flicker in the draft, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that would probably be the only reason that I can think of for doing that.
Yeah, that, or a balloon. You could use a balloon for that. Don't need to use a naked flame.
Yeah, but in the dark you can't see the balloon wandering off.
No, that's true. But that's true. But you have a torch.
Yeah.
If you want an ambient feeling, you can get LED candles.
I know.
Can't you?
Yeah,
little tea
we've got a
lights. So
couple.
if you want an ambient feeling, if that's what that was for, then that would suffice and be safe.
Yeah, we've got like little LED lights that we put under the glasses when we do glass divination.
All right.
So it obviously highlights the glass and it just follows the glass, and that works just as well. But I have often wondered about getting some of those LED tea lights. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, so that would add to the ambience. You wouldn't need to use, like I say, a naked flame candle at all. Richard has actually put a question in. He said, would you give a location a list of experiments you carry out?
No. Not many locations I've never come across any location that wants to know exactly what experiments you're going to be conducting, because paranormal teams tend to do the same sort of ones. But out of common decency, I do say to people, we do have a Ouija board. Are you happy for us to do a Ouija board in your location? Because we have had it where some locations say, no, we don't want it. So in that case, we've left it in the car. But others say, like Shore House, they said, no, we're fine. Go for it. Knock yourselves out. Quite literally, So that's why our teammate fell down the stairs. But no, I mean, for the Ouija board, I will always ask every location we go to. But there are some locations as well that do come out with a list of stuff that you're not allowed to do. Michelin Priory, for example, they don't like you taking photographs with your flashes. So they've said
to protect the artifacts.
Do you know what? I really don't know. All it's an extortionate amount of money to go there in the first place, and basically all they want you to do is go and sit there in the dark. That's it.
Right.
That is all they want you to do. So that's why we haven't booked it. And even when we done 30 East Drive, I think it was 30 East Drive, they said that after 11 o'clock, I think, no flash photography in any of the back bedrooms.
Is that because it overlooks other properties?
Yeah, it's because it overlooked, there was another property behind it, and there's a little child in there. Well, it's probably not a little child anymore, but there was a child in there with epilepsy. So if he see the flashes go off, it could set him up into a epileptic fit, and so that's that's a good enough reason. Yeah. Why they wanted to specify that. So there are locations that specify what you can and can't do, but most locations I've been to are happy for you to do whatever you want, basically. And yeah, so no, I don't. I've never given any of them a list of experiments that we carry out. Although when I do approach locations that have never been done before, I do give them a run through of what we would like to do in their location, and it's like blow by blow investigation techniques and stuff, just to try and convince them that we're really the team they want in their location, and that's worked a few times, so yeah, and it's still working now.
Good.
Got a few on the go.
Yes, we have. So, permissions. Do you need specific permissions to get into? I mean, obviously, I'm talking about more outdoory kind of locations now, because if you're going to a building, then obviously you've got to approach the owner, don't you?
Yes, that's correct.
So, what about other permissions that do you need? Do you think?
Okay, in the we done an event quite recently in Epping Forest. And we was told by the Forestry Commission that you do need a licence to go into the forest after 7 o'clock. And because obviously we're an event and we're going to sell tickets, we had to apply for a licence. So I had to contact them and just go into what we was going to do and whereabouts we were going to be and all the ins and outs of it. We had to show them our public liability insurance. And they were all satisfied that was fine. They spoke to their head ranger and he agreed it, and they come back and give us a licence to operate our event in Epping Forest. Now, there are places like Pluckley, what's it called, Deering Woods, which is also known as the Screaming Woods, and they will not allow you to do a paranormal investigation in the woods. If they find you, they will prosecute you.
Ooh.
Them down there, they're really tough on their.
Is that because they've had so much trouble in the woods, though, because of that?
Yeah, I think it is a lot to do with the fact that it is protected woodland, and they don't want you trampling over all these ancient plants and trees and things and damaging them. Interacting with the wildlife that's still there. They just want it to be left alone, basically. But there are teams out there that will not do that or don't even know but ignorance is no excuse.
No, it's important to know, isn't it? Because, like you say, it's best prosecution.
Even if it's common land as well, because after the Epping Forest, the license, getting the license, I looked up where we could do events and where we couldn't, and even in common land, you, as a hobby, you're allowed to go there. And you don't have to have a licence or anything like that. But if you're going to sell tickets and do it as an event, you have to, by law, get permission of the people that own the land. Now, common land is owned either by 1 to 2 people. It's either land owned by the council or the National Trust. So you have to contact both of those to see who owns it, and they have to get permission to be on there. But
that's really, really important to remember that.
It is, absolutely, because if you get caught on there and you haven't got the right paperwork to say you're allowed there or anything like that, any licences or whatever, then you can be prosecuted for trespass. Yeah. It is really important to get that. Okay.
So moving on from that, what about your equipment? Now, equipment is hugely expensive. There's a lot of equipment out there and it can cost you a fortune. And you don't just have like 1 or 2 pieces, you have like quite a few, don't you?
We do.
So, firstly, keep it in your boot. So if you go to like a McDonald's and then, late at night or whatever, don't leave it so it's visible on your back seat. Don't do that.
That goes for everything though,
that's
even
true.
handbags.
That's common sense,
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. And there is a thing called PAT testing.
Yes.
That I just wanted to quickly talk about. Now, a PAT test is basically an electronic test to make sure that the equipment is fit for purpose and works fine and dandy. Now, it is for portable appliances, okay? Now, although your camera itself wouldn't need to be PAT tested, the lead that you charge it with would need to be PAT tested.
Yep.
And battery chargers, particularly if you've got rechargeable batteries, they would need to be PAT tested.
Basically, everything you plug into the wall.
It is anything that needs to be plugged into the wall to be charged, or your iPads, your laptops, anything like that will need to be PAT tested.
Yep, absolutely. And it can, if it isn't PAT tested, it could void your insurance. If you plug it in and it blows it up, you can't claim on your insurance because it wasn't PAT tested. And also, likewise with the location, if you plug it in and it blows their fuses and, I don't know, sets fire to their curtains or something, you're not insured. It voids the insurance.
It does. So that's something that you really need to be aware of when you're investigating.
Yep, you sure do. And if you go on to, like, if you're looking at paranormal teams to go out with, most paranormal teams will have on their websites whether they're fully insured. I mean, on my side of events and stuff, we've even got members of the team that are CRB checked.
Yeah.
As well, so I think that is quite an important thing to have as well, especially if you are going into into houses for private investigations, because you are dealing with children and vulnerable adults.
Yeah.
So I feel that I want my team CRB checked.
Yeah, I agree.
And 90% of the team are checked anyway, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. Now, what's your take on spiritual protection, spiritual safety?
Okay. Again, it depends. I encourage it for every member of the groups that go out, especially if we're in a location like the True Crimes Museum or a prison, for example, because there are bad people there, or could be bad spirits there. I want the group as a whole to do protection. Me personally, I don't go in for protection at all anywhere I go. I don't believe it works. I'm quite a strong-minded person, and I just, because I've been to loads of different locations and seen loads of different mediums work different ways. Although what they say is different, the outcome's always the same. So it's almost like brainwashing someone to believe that they are protected. And once you're in that mindset that you are protected, then you're protected.
It's almost, sense. I don't know, brainwashing is probably a harsh word. I would say it sets your psychological mind in that way.
Yeah, it's almost like giving you a very strong mindset that you are protected. And that's where I am all the time. So I'm sort of almost protecting myself, if that makes sense, rather than going out and doing other people's protection. Because to me, it's just words. That's okay. But then that is my own personal view on it. But I will still go to these locations, although I won't partake in it. I would prefer that my team and my guests do.
Yeah.
But they do have the choice. You know, we'll always give them a choice because we're not going to force it on them.
No, I always find that there's two schools of thought on this. Some people like it, just to give them that almost, like you say, it's a safety blanket feeling. And some people don't. I mean, Lindsay is in the chat room. She says she doesn't do spiritual protection because she doesn't believe it actually works.
Yeah.
And that's her opinion. That's how she works. Do you know what I mean, in the field? I do. I find that incredibly important for myself. Do you know what I mean? And if anybody wants it, I'm quite happy to
absolutely.
To help facilitate that.
There are people as well that not only do they want to do the group protection, but they want to come back halfway through the night and do a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, as you said, like with the blanket, they're trying to wrap themselves up even more. And yeah, it happens. People do like to be protected. And then you get the people that like, I don't believe in ghosts, I'm not going to have that done. And then 10 minutes later, after their experience, they go, give me as much protection as you can. I don't like that, you know.
Yeah, we've all come across people like that, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially at Fort Amherst. That was quite funny. We had two guys. They were very. They thought it'd just be a laugh to turn up on the event and just have a laugh, basically. And although we do try and keep it like that, there is a serious side to it as well. And they really didn't believe in ghosts. And I think they did last about 10 minutes before they decided they were believers. Yeah, that was quite funny. And that was the event that Lindsay was on. Lindsay was
it?
Like, yeah. A couple of years ago now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Akila says smudge, ground and balance is all she does. She's of a mind that if you put up with a mental barrier of protection, it does give a placebo effect. Not that she has any issues with it, and she doesn't believe in anything but a strong mind and heart helps.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah, for me, what I think it does is it gives my mental... When I go to an investigation, the minute I go, I'll do my own personal protection.
Yeah.
And it gives me a mental signal that I'm open and I'm working in that way.
Yep.
And then when I finish an investigation, I close, thank my spirits and, you know, my guides and stuff for working with me. And then that's my mental signal that I am now not working.
Yep.
So for me, that's how I view protection. From a spiritual perspective, bearing in mind I'm working very much with energy in the field rather than tech. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to work more in that way than I am on a technical front. So I see it more as whether it's a placebo or whether or not, however you view that, it's giving yourself those signals and those psychological triggers, I suppose some people would class it as, that you're working in that way and then you're not working in that way. And that's why I think mediums like to open and then close at the end, because that gives them that, now I'm working, now I'm not. It gives defined boundaries as to what you're doing at that time. Because obviously you don't want to take home going back to my list, demonic possessions, obsessions, insanity, or
And
any
the list
of the
goes
other,
on.
and the list goes on and on.
I mean, I do agree with some of those things that you read out in the list, but
I do too.
I think I would group them together as like,
Yeah.
with example, the snake bites and the spider bites and falling over and falling into holes and things. You could cover that in health and safety and first aid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just normal everyday things, I think, in that list. But yeah, you could count everything.
I do agree, but I have to say I did find that incredibly funny when I read it. Not because I think it's unimportant what they've stated, but because you could group them together quite a lot, and some of them are really quite relevant,
and some of them are not.
And some of them are not. Now, one thing I do want to talk to you about is more to do with a situation where you go into and there's a boiler.
Yeah.
Because carbon monoxide poisoning can cause certain reactions within your body that can make you think that you're experiencing something paranormal.
It can.
Do you know what they are?
No.
Oh.
I do. Carbon monoxide, basically it can give you headaches. It just makes you feel unwell, really, and headaches are a major part of it. You can even collapse, but it also makes your face go red.
Yeah.
So, as from my ambulance training point of view, we've always been taught that if you go into a location with someone flat out on the floor and their face is red, basically come out again and call the fire service, because you got carbon monoxide present, or possible carbon monoxide present. So you'd basically leave the patient where he is and get out. Unless you can literally just drag him out of the room, that would be fine. But yeah, and there's another one as well about the rule of three. If there's 3 patients flat out on the floor, get the fire service in first.
Yeah, but it can also cause a feeling of being watched. So it can cause paranoia.
Yep.
And it can also cause, paranoia, a feeling of being watched, and a feeling of oppression, carbon monoxide poisoning. So it's really important to try, particularly, as I say, I think this is more in indoor obviously it's indoor locations with a boiler, that's something that is considered.
Absolutely. And I mean, most council places and houses now do have their own carbon monoxide awareness and alarms and things.
That's right. Because it's odourless. You can't smell it. It is. Like gas.
Yes, very correct.
So I thought I'd just mention that because I watched a podcast recently and it was a scientist actually talking about it, and she convinced herself that she had got, she was being haunted, and her friend had said basically smudge your house, do all the protections and that, and it turned out to be carbon monoxide poisoning. But she convinced herself she was being watched, she was having this feeling of oppression, and it was all, what you would put down to as almost like a haunting, and it wasn't. It was a basic carbon monoxide situation. So I thought that was quite important to mention because I've seen a podcast recently.
I mean, you also get that with EMF readings as well. High EMF
you can,
fields.
You can. If there's a huge electricity pylon just outside someone's bedroom, that can cause all sorts of issues, can't it?
Yeah, it can, and the noise from it is horrific.
Yeah, infrasound.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
As well.
That'll keep you awake.
Mm-hmm.
That's the insomnia part.
Yeah. Well, Paul.
We've come to the end of the show, have we? Oh, yeah, look, oh dear. And
how was your first show back?
It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. What can I say? Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's really good to be back, and I'm looking forward to next week. Although I haven't planned anything for next week, I'll have to put my thinking cap on.
Yeah, I'm going to be nagging him after the show to get his finger out and start letting you guys know what he's going to be talking about. Now, tomorrow we have Penny Morgan. She's talking about Chislehurst Caves.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been there. It's an absolutely fantastic place. And they used to do something called the Chislehurst Challenge. And I know for a fact, because of health and safety, they no longer do it. Basically, there's a little pool of water in one of the caves, and the challenge was that you had to go down there and spend the night, 24 hours in there, with only a lantern. And it's one of these old lanterns with a flame, not a light bulb. And this one guy, he done it, and this pool is supposed to be the most haunted part of the caves. So that's why it's the challenge. And he basically had his lantern down there. They left him down there overnight, and something blew his lantern out and scared him so much he done a runner. But obviously, because it was so pitch black, he ran straight into the wall and knocked himself out. So when the cave people came down the next day to find him, he was still spark out on the floor, so they had to take him out by a stretcher.
Oh my goodness!
And yeah, he done a really good job on himself, and he's the only person to complete the challenge because he was unconscious.
And that is one of the reasons why you should always have a torch as backup.
Absolutely, so you don't run into cave walls.
No, you don't. On Thursday night, you've got Kerry Ann. She's talking to the absolutely fantastic Paul Adams, who is part of the SPR and has just written a book. And then on Friday, you've got the Great Paranormal Debate, and you're back on that, aren't you, Paul?
I am, absolutely. And we have got some good articles, and I do believe that one of the articles I'm talking about is the Coronation Street ghost.
Wow.
That was on the news last week, and I was away, and I text Kerry and said, look, save this article for me. I want that for the show.
Brilliant. After that show is the Dark Mirror Show with myself and Mark Manley. We're talking about time travel this week.
Yeah, that's not so good, that show. Just watch the first one. They'll be fine.
Oh, my goodness. I am so going to travel up to you and slap you for that comment.
I love your show anyway. It's fine.
I know. And on Saturday, we've got the KTPF Reload Show. And if you miss any of our shows, you can catch them on podcast. They're all on Spreaker. Just go down the list and listen to the ones you missed. Or you can find us on YouTube, Podbean, the Internet Archive, and even Tumblr. And don't forget to keep up with our Parasearch UK Radio Facebook pages. We have a group page and a like page, so you can find out everything that's been going on those pages. And Twitter. We're also on Twitter as well.
I think we need a jingle with all that information on.
I know. I have to say that in every show I do. I'm getting good at it.
Yeah, that's like
anyway,
5 minutes
sir.
up. No.
I know, sorry.
Okay, I want to
sir.
thank you for joining me on tonight's show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again next week. Any good for you?
Yeah, I'm up for it. You know me.
Okay,
9
cool.
o'clock, I'm free.
Up for anything. That's fine. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in the chat room, and I hope you have a really good week ahead, and don't miss me too much, and speak to you all again soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.